1. Satyam computer scam, 2009 India. Losses, 2.8 billion. Why it matters. Known as India's Enron, Satyam's CEO faked profits and inflated cash reserves. It shook investor confidence in India. SIT sector and forced corporate governance reform in one of the world's fastest-growing economies. It's 2009, and India's shining tech sector is about to face its darkest hour. Satyam Computer Services, once the crown jewel of Indian IT, is about to become the epicenter of what would be known as India's Enron. The story begins with Ramalinga Raju, Satyam's charismatic CEO, who had built the company from scratch into a global IT powerhouse. On the surface, Satyam was the perfect success story, a testament to India's rising economic might. But beneath the glossy exterior lay a web of deception so intricate it would shock the entire business world. One January morning, Raju dropped a bombshell. In a shocking confession letter, he admitted to inflating profits and fabricating assets for years. The numbers were staggering: $2.8 billion in fake assets and non-existent cash reserves. Imagine that, nearly $3 billion that existed only on paper, like a magic trick gone horribly wrong. The revelation sent shockwaves through global markets. Satyam's shares plummeted 78% in a single day. Thousands of employees feared for their jobs. International clients began jumping ship. But the damage was not just financial. It was a devastating blow to India's reputation as a trusted global IT hub. The scandal exposed glaring holes in corporate governance. How could auditors miss such massive fraud? Where were the regulators? The questions were endless, and the answers were uncomfortable. India's fast-growing economy had outpaced its regulatory framework. But sometimes it takes a crisis to catalyze change. The Satyam scandal became a watershed moment for Indian corporate governance. New laws were passed, oversight was strengthened, and audit procedures were overhauled. Today, while the scam remains a cautionary tale, it also stands as a testament to India's resilience and commitment to reform. Think about it. In the wake of a $2.8 billion fraud, India didn't just recover. It emerged stronger, with better safeguards and more transparent corporate practices. Sometimes the greatest lessons come from our biggest failures. The Satyam scandal might have started as India's Enron, but it ended as India's wake-up call. 2. OneCoin, eerie crypto in the world, the woman who orchestrated a $4 billion fraud is living in the shadows. The OneCoin saga isn't just about money loss and due diligence. 3. Wirecard scandal, 2020 Germany. Losses, $4 billion. Why it matters. Wirecard was once Germany's tech pride until it admitted $2 billion in cash didn't exist. Its downfall embarrassed German regulators and shattered the credibility of European fintech. In the world of financial scandals, few stories are as shocking as the downfall of Wirecard, once Germany's shining star in the fintech universe. Picture this. A company so prestigious it replaced Commerzbank on Germany's DAX stock index, becoming a symbol of the country's technological prowess. But beneath the glossy surface of this payment processing giant, a devastating truth was lurking. In June 2020, the financial world was rocked when Wirecard admitted that 1.9 billion euros, yes, that's roughly $2 billion, simply didn't exist. This wasn't just missing money, it was money that was completely fictional. The story gets even more fascinating. For years, Wirecard had been the darling of investors, with its stock price soaring as it claimed to process payments for a vast network of merchants worldwide. CEO Marcus Brown had cultivated an image of a visionary leader, often compared to tech titans like Steve Jobs, complete with his signature black turtleneck. But while red flags were being raised by journalists and short sellers, German regulators seemed more interested in investigating the critics than the company itself. In fact, when the Financial Times published a series of exposés about Wirecard's suspicious accounting, German authorities initially investigated the journalists for market manipulation. The truth finally emerged when auditors couldn't verify the existence of billions in supposed bank deposits. The house of cards came tumbling down, leading to arrests, including that of CEO Braun, and leaving thousands of investors devastated. The total losses? A staggering $4 billion. This wasn't just a corporate failure, it was a national embarrassment for Germany. The country's reputation for strict regulation and financial oversight was severely damaged. BaFin, Germany's financial watchdog, faced harsh criticism for its failure to detect the fraud despite years of warnings. The Wirecard scandal serves as a sobering reminder that even in highly regulated markets, sophisticated fraud can flourish when oversight fails and warning signs are ignored. It's changed how we view European fintech and reminded us that sometimes, when something looks too good to be true, it probably is. 4. Bre-X mining fraud. 1997 Canada, Indonesia. Losses, $6 billion. Why it matters. The company faked a massive gold discovery by adding gold dust to samples. It was the biggest mining scam ever and showed how greed in stock markets can create massive bubbles without real assets. Picture this. It's 1997, and the investment world is buzzing about a small Canadian mining company that claims to have struck gold, literally. Bre-X Minerals, a tiny Calgary-based outfit, announced they'd discovered what could be the largest gold deposit ever found in the jungles of Indonesia. Their stock price? It skyrocketed from mere pennies to a staggering $286 per share. Everyone wanted a piece of the action. Major mining companies were fighting for partnerships. Investment banks were throwing money at them, and even pension funds jumped in. The company was valued at over $6 billion at its peak. It seemed too good to be true, and guess what? It was. The entire discovery was an elaborate hoax. The company's geologist, Michael de Guzman, had been salting the drill core samples with gold dust bought from local Indonesian miners. They literally shaved off gold from their wedding rings and mixed it into worthless rock samples. Talk about fool's gold. But here's where it gets even more bizarre. As pressure mounted and questions began surfacing about the validity of their claims, de Guzman mysteriously fell to his death from a helicopter over the Indonesian jungle. Some say it was suicide, others suspect foul play, and there are even theories that he faked his own death and is living somewhere with millions in stolen money. When the truth finally came out, it was devastating. The stock crashed to nothing. Thousands of investors lost their life savings. The $6 billion market value vanished into thin air. It became the biggest mining fraud in history, a cautionary tale of how greed, deception, and the promise of easy riches can blind even the smartest investors. The Bre-X scandal changed the mining industry forever. It led to stricter regulations, more thorough verification processes, and a healthy dose of skepticism in the investment community. Remember, if something seems too good to be true, it probably is, especially when there's gold dust involved. 5. FTX collapse, 2022 global. Losses, $8 billion. Why it matters. Sam Bankman-Fried misused customer crypto funds. FTX was considered too big to fail, and its crash triggered a global crypto market meltdown. It also ignited worldwide demands for crypto regulation. In late 2022, the crypto world witnessed one of its most shocking downfalls. FTX, once the second largest cryptocurrency exchange globally, collapsed in a matter of days, sending shockwaves through the entire financial industry. At the helm was Sam Bankman-Fried, or SBF as he was commonly known, a crypto wunderkind who graced magazine covers, rubbed shoulders with celebrities, and was worth an estimated $26 billion at his peak. He portrayed himself as the golden boy of crypto, preaching about effective altruism and claiming to build a better financial system. But behind the scenes, something sinister was brewing. SBF was secretly using customer funds from FTX to fund risky bets through his trading firm, Alameda Research. It was like taking money from a bank's safety deposit boxes to gamble at a casino, a massive violation of trust and financial ethics. When rumors began circulating about FTX's financial health, customers rushed to withdraw their funds. But here's the gut-wrenching truth. The money wasn't there. Around $8 billion of customer funds had vanished into thin air. The too-big-to-fail exchange had failed spectacularly. The fallout was catastrophic. Cryptocurrency prices plummeted, other crypto companies fell like dominoes, and countless ordinary people lost their life savings. The industry's reputation, already on shaky ground, was shattered. SBF was arrested and now faces multiple criminal charges. But perhaps the most lasting impact of FTX's collapse is how it changed the conversation around cryptocurrency regulation. Governments worldwide suddenly had their smoking gun proof that the crypto Wild West needed sheriff's badges and rule books. The era of unchecked crypto expansion was over. The FTX saga serves as a stark reminder. In the world of finance, whether traditional or digital, trust is everything. And when that trust is betrayed, the consequences can be devastating for everyone involved. It's a cautionary tale that will be studied in business schools for years to come.
Enjoying the video, correct? Make sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell. Please leave your feedback, hit like, share the content.
6. Theranos blood testing scam, 2015 to 2018 USA. Losses. $10 billion valuation wiped out. Why it matters. Founder Elizabeth Holmes fooled investors, doctors, and patients with a fake blood testing device. It highlighted tech hype culture, lack of medical regulation in startups, and the power of PR over facts. Imagine being able to run hundreds of medical tests with just a single drop of blood. Sounds revolutionary, right? Well, that's exactly what Elizabeth Holmes promised with Theranos, creating one of the most notorious scams in Silicon Valley history. In 2003, a 19-year-old Stanford dropout started a company that would eventually be valued at $10 billion. Elizabeth Holmes, with her signature black turtleneck and unnaturally deep voice, convinced some of the world's most powerful people that she had developed groundbreaking blood testing technology. The pitch was simple yet compelling. Instead of drawing multiple vials of blood, Theranos claimed their device could run over 200 tests using just a single finger prick. This promise attracted huge investments from prominent figures like Rupert Murdoch and the Walton family, while major retailers like Walgreens rushed to partner with the company. But here's where things get dark. The technology simply didn't work. Behind the scenes, Theranos was using traditional blood testing machines while deceiving investors, doctors, and worst of all, patients. Real people were receiving inaccurate test results that led to unnecessary medical procedures and anxiety. The house of cards began to collapse in 2015 when Wall Street Journal reporter John Carreyrou started investigating the company. Despite aggressive legal threats, he exposed the truth. Theranos' revolutionary technology was nothing more than smoke and mirrors. The Theranos scandal teaches us several crucial lessons. First, it exposed how easily the tech industries fake it till you make it. Culture can become dangerous when applied to healthcare. Second, it revealed major gaps in medical device regulation, where startups could operate without proper oversight. And perhaps most importantly, it showed how a compelling story and charismatic leader could override basic scientific scrutiny. By 2018, the company's $10 billion valuation had completely evaporated. Holmes was later convicted of fraud and faces up to 20 years in prison. The Theranos story serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked ambition and the importance of questioning what seems too good to be true, especially when people's lives are at stake. 7. Parmalat fraud, 2003, Italy. Losses, $18.6 billion. Why it matters. Parmalat faked a $4 billion bank account to cover up debt. It was Europe's biggest corporate fraud and showed that even regulators and banks can be fooled by long-standing family businesses. In the world of corporate scandals, few have shaken the business landscape quite like the WorldCom disaster of 2002. Picture this, a telecommunications giant once worth over $100 billion crumbling into dust almost overnight. Here's how the story unfolded. WorldCom, a company that had grown to become America's second-largest long-distance phone carrier, was hiding a dark secret. Its executives were playing a dangerous game with the books, using a deceptively simple but devastatingly effective trick. Instead of recording regular operating costs as expenses, they were labeling them as capital investments. Now, you might wonder, what's the big deal about moving some numbers around? Well, this seemingly innocent accounting manipulation allowed them to spread these costs over several years rather than reporting them immediately. The result? Their profits appeared much higher than they actually were. The numbers are staggering. We're talking about $11 billion in fraudulent accounting. That's more money than some small country's entire GDP. This wasn't just creative accounting. This was corporate fraud on an unprecedented scale. But like all houses of cards, it eventually came tumbling down. When the truth emerged in 2002, the impact was seismic. WorldCom's collapse became one of the largest bankruptcies in US history, leaving thousands of employees jobless and countless investors devastated. People who had invested their life savings, retirement funds, and dreams into what they thought was a stable, successful company were left with nothing. The WorldCom scandal, along with other corporate frauds like Enron, became a wake-up call for America's financial system. It led to major reforms in how companies report their finances and how analysts evaluate them. The Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002 was directly influenced by these events, bringing stricter accounting rules and harsher penalties for corporate fraud. Perhaps the most important lesson from WorldCom isn't just about numbers and regulations, it's about trust. When corporate leaders prioritize short-term profits over honest business practices, the consequences can be catastrophic. 2 decades later, the WorldCom scandal remains a powerful reminder that in business, as in life, integrity matters more than immediate gains. 8. WorldCom Scandal 2002 USA. Losses $11 billion. Why it matters. Executives hid costs as capital investments to inflate profits. WorldCom's collapse became one of the largest bankruptcies in the summer of 2002. The business world was rocked by what would become one of the most shocking corporate scandals in American history, the WorldCom disaster. At the time, WorldCom wasn't just any company. It was America's second-largest long-distance phone company and a darling of Wall Street. But beneath its gleaming exterior lay a web of deceit that would ultimately lead to its spectacular downfall. The numbers were staggering. $11 billion in accounting fraud. A sum so large it's hard to even comprehend. To put that in perspective, that's enough money to build 10 NFL stadiums or fund the entire NASA budget for a year. So how did they pull off such massive fraud? The scheme was both brilliant and brazenly simple. WorldCom's executives, led by CEO Bernie Madoff, played a dangerous game of financial hide-and-seek. They took regular operating costs, things like basic maintenance and network charges, and magically transform them into capital investments on their books. It's like telling your bank you spent $50,000 on a house renovation when you actually used it to pay your monthly bills. By classifying these expenses as investments, WorldCom could spread the costs over several years instead of reporting them immediately. This clever accounting trick made their profits look much healthier than they actually were. Investors were duped, the stock soared, and executives got rich until the house of cards came crashing down. The fallout was catastrophic. When the truth emerged, WorldCom filed for what was then the largest bankruptcy in U.S. history. Thousands of employees lost their jobs and life savings. Bernie Madoff was sentenced to 25 years in prison, and the scandal, along with other corporate frauds of the era like Enron, led to major reforms in how companies report their finances. The WorldCom scandal became a watershed moment in American business history, leading to stricter accounting rules, better corporate governance, and a renewed focus on business ethics. It's a powerful reminder that when greed overcomes integrity, the consequences can be devastating for everyone involved. 9. Enron Scandal 2001 USA. Losses $60 billion. Why it matters. Enron used fake accounting and secret partnerships to hide debt. Its fall shattered trust in corporate America and led to the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, which enforced stricter rules on auditing and corporate governance. Picture this. It's December 2001, and what was once America's 7th largest company is crumbling before everyone's eyes. The Enron scandal wasn't just another corporate bankruptcy. It was the moment that exposed the dark underbelly of corporate greed and deception. Enron started as a simple natural gas company, but its executives had grand ambitions. They transformed it into an energy trading powerhouse, and Wall Street couldn't get enough. The company's stock price soared. Executives were living large, and everyone wanted a piece of the success story. But beneath the glossy surface, something sinister was brewing. Here's where it gets interesting. Enron's leaders, including CEO Kenneth Lay and CFO Andrew Fastow, had created an elaborate house of cards. They used complex accounting tricks and created thousands of special-purpose entities, basically shell companies, to hide massive amounts of debt and toxic assets from investors and regulators. It was like playing a high-stakes game of financial hide-and-seek, except with billions of dollars at stake. When the truth finally emerged, the fallout was catastrophic. Enron's stock, once trading at $90 per share, plummeted to mere pennies. Thousands of employees lost not just their jobs, but their life savings, as their retirement accounts, filled with worthless Enron stock, evaporated overnight. The total losses? A staggering $60 billion. But the Enron scandal did more than just destroy one company. It shattered America's trust in corporate leadership and exposed the desperate need for stricter oversight. This led to the Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002, which fundamentally changed how public companies operate, requiring more transparent financial reporting and holding executives personally responsible for accuracy. Think about it. Before Enron, many Americans blindly trusted corporate financial statements. After Enron, that innocence was gone forever. The scandal became a wake-up call, reminding us that even the mightiest companies can be built on lies, and that without proper oversight, Greed can corrupt even the most promising success stories. Today, Enron stands as a cautionary tale, taught in business schools worldwide. It reminds us that success built on deception is bound to collapse, and that true corporate leadership requires not just innovation and ambition, but integrity and transparency. 10. Bernie Madoff Ponzi Scheme, 2008 USA. Losses, $65 billion. Why it matters: Madoff ES scam was the largest Ponzi scheme in history, destroying thousands of lives, charities, and retirement accounts. It exposed massive regulatory failures at the SEC and led to tougher investment oversight. His name became synonymous with financial betrayal. In December 2008, the world witnessed the collapse of the biggest financial fraud in history, Bernie Madoff's Ponzi scheme. But this wasn't just another Wall Street scandal, it was a betrayal that shattered the lives of thousands. Picture this. For decades, Bernie Madoff was the Wizard of Wall Street. Former NASDAQ chairman, respected philanthropist, and trusted financial advisor to the elite. His investment firm promised consistent returns of 10 to 12% annually, regardless of market conditions. Too good to be true? Absolutely. Behind the glossy facade, Madoff wasn't investing a dime. He was running a classic Ponzi scheme, using new investors' money to pay returns to earlier investors. The scale? A staggering $65 billion. That's more than the GDP of many countries. The victims weren't just wealthy individuals. Jewish charities lost everything. Retirement funds vanished overnight. People who had trusted Madoff with their life savings suddenly found themselves penniless. Even celebrities like Kevin Bacon and Steven Spielberg weren't spared, but here's the real kicker. Warning signs were everywhere. Financial experts had been raising red flags for years. The SEC received multiple complaints but failed to act. Madoff's returns were impossibly consistent, defying basic market logic. Yet the scheme continued for decades. When the 2008 financial crisis hit, everything unraveled. Investors wanted their money back, but there was nothing left. Madoff confessed to his sons, who turned him in. The man who once embodied Wall Street success was sentenced to 150 years in prison. The aftermath changed everything. The SEC faced intense scrutiny for its failures. New regulations were implemented. Investment oversight became stricter, but the damage was done. Madoff's name became synonymous with financial betrayal, a cautionary tale of how trust, once broken, can destroy lives. Even today, the words Bernie Madoff serve as a chilling reminder. If an investment seems too good to be true, it probably is. His scheme may be history, but its lessons about greed, trust, and oversight remain painfully relevant.